Won't you be my, won't you be my, won't you be my Valentine?
Enjoying the show so far. Guess what? Audience, what do you think? Are you enjoying the show so far? Yeah. Having fun? Okay, so we'd like to invite our special guests to join us here. We'll have Pastors Ken and Tinu Asegeme. Please, can you come and join us here?
Yeah, just so you know, they've been married for over 15 years, so they are going to be our special couple today. They'll talk to us and tell us what has made their love so thick.
And they have a ministry, Mission to Singles.
Oh,
yes. So if you need any tutoring on choosing the right partner, yeah, our gurus in it. Wow. You're welcome, ma. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, all right. Ma, I can see you're wearing red. So is that the color of love, or has the color changed to yellow?
Oh, well, red is the color of love, but red is one of my favorite colors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see your husband
Oh.
sticking to blue, simple blue.
No, I joined you in the yellow, but in my socks.
All right. Let me start with something that many of us may be familiar with. Today, we see marriages, so we attend so many marriages, spend thousands of money buying a shwebi, and after 6 months or 1 year, they tell us that it's no more.
It's too far, like 4 months or 2.
Right?
3 weeks.
Yes, in fact, there's the one that I was also attending when I was still at home getting dressed to attend, and they told me that I was no longer holding. The man beat up the lady the night before, I think, or that morning. Yeah, so the parents withdrew their consent and everything. And all of us were in the church waiting. The choir were already singing and waiting why they've not come in. It was already 10 o'clock. So tell us what is happening then before we go into what has kept you as this long.
Who is speaking, me?
Any one of you, please.
Okay, if you come from the architectural standpoint of analyzing things that ought to have been built and ought to be stable, you'll come to discover that it is never the finishing that sustains any building, it's the foundation. So if the foundation is in default, somewhere along the line, something will go wrong. Having said that, for a lot of people who take the steps to say we want to get married, I'm not quite sure how much they had invested in laying a solid foundation.
Absolutely.
For me to become a lawyer, I had to go through an LLB for 5 years, then 1 more year for your BL, and then you go into tutelage as a junior solicitor in somebody else's chambers before you go on. For you to be a medical practitioner, about 7-8 years will be involved. But for this pivotal aspect of our lives that would literally determine everything else, how much do people really put in preparing for it? When we're growing up, and by the way, one of the beauties of Valentine is that it's my birthday today.
Happy birthday!
You know, and for those of us who are above 50, in those days, it was traditional for you to learn about the ethics and the rules of marriage just from observing your parents and your mom sending you to go serve food on your dad. But today, we don't have any of such traditional upbringing or role playing to prepare us for marriages. In my days as a young person, it wasn't characteristic for a man to boast in his good looks. You rather boast in your capacity to work. But today, I think I see people flaunting looks without the complement of hard work. And the first role of a man, when you go to a family and you tell them, release your daughter to me, your first role is to be a provider. And you can't be a provider, but only to the extent that you're a hard worker. It doesn't have to be much, but you must put in your best. And for a lot of people, I don't think they give proper or adequate preparation for that aspect. Then for the woman, you want to be beautiful, you want to have your nails done, the gown must be bought from Dubai and all of that, but have you adequately prepared for your wifing role? In a nutshell, all I'm saying is foundations being faulty is perhaps the reason we see these relationships falling apart as quickly as soon as they got into it.
Sorry, before you come, is there any stipulated duration or time of which foundation must be built? We've seen, like you must have heard, we've seen relationships, supposedly foundation who met 2 months. After 2 months, they're good to go. They're already living 30 years. We've seen those who supposedly built foundation for 2 years or 7. And 3 years after, they said, I think it was a mistake. So how does foundation have a specific duration of time?
Okay, now, foundation is not stereotypically tied to time invested.
Okay.
No, it is education invested.
Ah, okay.
You know, so you can date someone for 5 weeks and you feel like you've known them from Adams. And yet I've seen people who will tell me we've been dating for 5 years, and the sum total of the quality time they spend together does not add up to about 2 weeks. Watching movies is good, but I can't know you watching a movie with you. We are knowing Denzel, we are knowing Peter Duce, we are watching them, we are not knowing ourselves.
Nice,
you know.
True. All right. You want
I was
to chip
going
in?
to say something in addition to the. You added another question, which explains to me a little bit that you didn't adequately understand what he was saying.
Okay.
I feel that what he was saying in essence is this: that a mindset from how you grow determines how well the foundation has been laid. And you know what's interesting? No one knows how well this foundation is laid until you begin to act in it.
Yes.
So many ladies major on the minor and minor on the major, and when they are now put on the stage of life to play, they just come to know that there was no rehearsal. You were not ready at all. So it's not the length of time, it's the preparation. Someone was talking about mental readiness for marriage, and it's true. Okay, so you are a woman growing up in a home and you are not ready to start your own home until that you've dated a guy for 5 years, going abroad, talking on the phone, spending time at dates and all, but you have not taken on that transition from being a girlfriend into a wife. It's a total transition, and that's the foundation.
All right.
Wow. And that brings us to my question. I'm sure she wanted to ask it. Is you've been married for over 15 years.
19
19.
19 years.
19
now.
years, like
Wow.
almost 20 years times 19 years.
All right. So, how have you managed to stay this long? I know it hasn't been easy. You know, you have faced a lot of challenges. But how have you stayed this long? You know, considering a lot of marriages are always, you know, crumbling and all that, but you guys have managed to stay long, up to 19
Almost
years.
20 years.
Almost 20 years.
Yeah, well, one thing I know that we both have in common is a dogged commitment for the relationship. There is no ocean wide enough to stop us from one another. So whatever life throws at us, we'll run into one another. We've gone through every kind of challenge, from growing, from not having, you know, to gathering, from the loss of a child. We've gone through so many things together, but we've learned to walk towards one another. That's one sure thing we know has worked for us. A dogged commitment. No matter what it is, you're not leaving me and I'm not leaving you. And we don't report ourselves to parents. We don't get family involved. It's always us and maybe mentors, okay? But we don't tell family. I think that's one thing this generation is missing. Things go wrong and you call your mother. Things go wrong and you call your father. When you resolve that issue, they don't change their impression about what you have said. There is this question mark about they are pretending to be happy, but they are not. Is it not that guy that said this to my daughter? Is it not that guy, lady that said this to my son? Don't involve family too soon. Tell people you respect. They will step in and resolve and nobody will know. We're not saying it's been perfect, but we're saying we have been matured enough to know that we are deliberately and intentionally husband and wife.
Okay. All right. That leads me to ask, maybe we are learning from your story. I would have even wanted you to tell us, I like the whole foundation thing. I wanted to know, what was that foundation you saw and how was that foundation? Hopefully if there is time, we'll come back to that. Okay, we'll come back to that. Now, is love enough to keep a relationship? Yeah, you know, they say if two people love themselves, is it enough? What is that ingredient that?
He's a better talker than me, but when it comes to the two of us, I think over 19 years I've been able to gather some ability to express myself. Love is very good, but very soon you see love phase out through the window. Sacrifice is more important. Commitment is very important. A resolve that no matter what comes your way, we're in it together forever. For me, love, it has its place, but it's not the most important. Sacrifice is.
Yeah, I guess for us being lawyers, we're trying to define terms, then delineate the applications.
Let me tell you what they did. They have to sit down and define, look, if this happens, this is going. They were rude, they were judge and jury. Okay, continue.
I preceded my contribution with that because I was going to say that when we say love is not enough, we need to define what we mean by love. Love is sacrifice.
True.
Love is a dogged commitment to forgive each other no matter what comes. But perhaps what we call the love that is insufficient is that butterflies in the stomach, rainbows. What if I don't feel like I'm still in love? Oh boy, thou art in love.
For you to say I do, right?
What you say I do,
You
must do. So, all sorts will come at you, but if you are both committed to forgiving yourselves. For example, I said to her once when we're dating or when we newly got married, I said, I married you as a Christian, but if you stop being a Christian, it won't stop me from loving you still, because there's something I liked about you that you liked me for me. When a lot of people met me back then, they'll meet either Pastor Ken, and that was such a fraction. Others will meet Barrister Ken, that's another fraction. But she just met Ken and liked Ken. So my stupidities were humorous for her. Oh my word.
Well, I wish we had more time to chat with you, but we would want to hear from the audience if they have any questions. We can only take one, please. We're sorry about that, but just one question.
Okay.
Okay, Joe.
Please speak up loud.
You said you have dated for 14 years, right?
No,
married for
19 years.
Married for 19 years. My question is it the long-lasting in a relationship that determine how static the foundation of the relationship is?
Okay, do you understand?
Yeah, it was my sister's second question. It's not the length.
Of the dating?
It's not the length of the dating. It's the investment in educating yourself for marriage. I had to be asking myself before I got married, what kind of a husband do you want to be? A lot of young people ask themselves, what kind of a person do I want to marry? But rather I was asking myself, what kind of a husband do I want to be? Because you see, it is the product you put out that determines the customers that come.
You attract, absolutely.
Your desire that the best of customers should patronize you will not do it. Even if they gave you shokbono to bury under your shop, it won't do it. But what guarantees the customer is the product you put out.
Yeah.
So I invested a lot in the product that I wanted to put out. I didn't have raining clothes. She bought me my first jeans trouser. I didn't have a jeans. The suit I was wearing when I met her, I made that suit at law school. I didn't buy it, I made it. I went to Akbongbon to buy material and took it to a tailor. And barely 4 months after they made the 2-button suits for me, fashion changed to 3 buttons. But thank God a dumb man doesn't carry last, so
Yes.
I rearranged the lapel and I put the 3rd button.
That's how we roll.
I used that suit in law school, and that's the same suit I wore at my call to bar, the most important day in a lawyer's life. I didn't have a new suit. That's the same suit I was wearing when I met her in her own law school session. So it wasn't my packaging or fashion outlook that was my dependence to draw such a personality. On the other hand, she came from a well-pampered, rich background. She wore everything that had designer label. I mean, oh Jesus, I can't go into So it's the product that determines the customer. One day I asked her, we were eating at one of those very poor bukas in Buhari, where you were eating, the smoke from the cooking section was coming out into our eyes. That's how down it was. And then I asked her, does it bother you that I'm not rich yet? I was a junior lawyer in somebody's chambers and my salary was 5,000 naira a month. And I lived in Maraba when Maraba didn't have any address. And I asked her, does it bother you that I'm not rich yet? She looked at me and she said, you know, I've thought about it. My heart broke for a moment. Then she said, I like what I feel when I'm with you. It won't always be like this. And indeed, it has not always been like this. We started dating on Okada. 3 months after she had agreed to be my girlfriend on the way to being my wife, I then got my first car, which was a gift from my dad. And that was the beginning of it. We've lived in one room. When we had our first baby about 18 years ago, she's now reading law as well at Afe Babalola. You know, we were in a single room. The room was so tight that late Tokumbo Ajayi of NTA, when she would come and visit, they would sit at the bed with their feet on the floor. Then myself and any other guy in the house will sit inside the bed and cross our feet because there's no other room in the place. That was how humble the background was. In the night when my mother-in-law came to do omugwo, I'll put a mattress on the floor and lie down. A friend offered me the option to come and sleep in his house. I said, no, my first baby is come to the world. I can't sleep anywhere else. I used to lie down on that floor, carry the baby on my chest. When grandma or my wife, they want to go use the loo in the midnight, they jump over there and say, sorry, Pastor.
Wow, that's a beautiful story. I mean, it's so touching.
No, this was going to happen.
Yeah.
We have to bring them back.
Yes,
We have very limited time. My director by now is almost going to yank us off.
I'm sure
we're
some
going to
things coming out from his head
bring
already.
you back. I need to hear the story. Joy, you're enjoying the story, right? I know Joy was, these are the kind of things that she wants to tell us. And I will come to Joy later. So it's time for you. We want to know, yeah, you're a very good lawyer, as we know. You do good pastoral work, very good. How good are your dancing skills? We're going to try that now.
Are you sure?
See?
She can dance.
I don't know.
I
You
could
just
rent
gotta do
the place.
something. I don't know the current last now. Oh no, it's a lie. He's not doing that.
What did he do?
He's not doing like this.
It's so good. Loving somebody loves you back. It's so good. Needing somebody loves you back. To be loved and belong in return. It's staying with you like my desire. It's just my machine. Living out to, cause all they want was got me is bad. You are left and then me higher. So good, good. Lord, there's somebody loves you back. Let's take some time to go.
Shop. Throw now.
Now it's in the evening. After celebrating, want to dance. Last time I shuffle. Some big drinking, so just shovel and forget about it.
Surprise, but we know it's your birthday today, so we have a surprise for you. 2 nights at Capital Club and Apartments.
We are getting 2 nights at Capital Club and Apartments. Tonight will not be a bad night to start, actually.
All right, so
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You are a good stepper. All right, so let's clap for them. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're back.
All right, we are going to take a feature now, and this feature is on the language of flowers. We know people are used to giving flowers during days like this. So what is the language of flowers? Then that's what we're going to see next.
Won't you be my, won't you be my, won't you be my Valentine?